continue from where we had left last time. 18th verse, 13th chapter. First class we had seen 6 questions. Jnanam, Gyayam, and second Purush Prakriti, Purusha, and then Kshetra, Kshetragya. So out of that 4 questions have been answered till now. So we have to see today Purusha Prakriti. But before we go, we were seeing Nayam and Jnanam. So last 18th and 19th. Yes, this one. We had seen 18th. So qualities of the super soul. Jyotishamapi tat jyotish tamasa paramuchyate jnanam deyam jnanagamyam hridi sarvasya visthitim. He is a source of light in all luminous objects. He is beyond the darkness of matter and is unmanifested. He is knowledge, he is object of knowledge, and he is goal of knowledge. He is situated in everyone's heart. Dasas Koirapu, what I'll do is I'll make you host because request for allowing people is coming again and again. So you make me.
I think even I'm approving.
Okay, you're getting, na?
Yeah, I'm getting, Prabhuji, because I think I'm the co-host as well.
Okay. You are able to approve, right?
Yeah, I'm able to approve. I just allowed few people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fine. So Jyotishamapi tad Jyotish. What is the meaning of this? I think in 10th chapter you might have seen that Krishna is the source of all the opulence. Among mammals I'm tiger, among Vedic mantras I'm Om, Pranama. So like that Krishna says in all the places. So here in this shloka, of all the luminous objects, the source of light in all luminous objects, Krishna is saying I am Jyotisham api tad Jyotish. Krishna is saying that Nayam, the super soul, is a source of light in all luminous objects. Tamasa aparamuchyati, beyond the darkness of the matter and is unmanifested. Is beyond the material world. Jnanam, Nayam, Jnanam, Jnanagamyam. Jnanam is knowledge. Gayam is the goal of knowledge. And is the object of Jnanam and Gayam. Jnana is Kshetra, Kshetragya. Kshetra is material world, our body. Kshetragya is soul and the super soul. And object of Jnanam and Gayam is the super soul or supreme person body. Hridi sarvasya visthitam. And his service situated in everyone's heart. Again, it will come in 15 chapter 15.15. Sarvasya cham hridi sarnimisto vatta samatir jnanam aponamcha. So he is a source of light in all luminous objects. He is beyond the darkness of matter and is unmanifested. He is knowledge, he is object of knowledge, and he is the goal of knowledge. He is situated in everyone's heart. Yes. You can read Dasashkuru. So 4 parts are there. He is a luminous of all the light in all luminous objects. Rupat writes the first paragraph. And then Tamas Paramuchyati. Then Jnanam, Gayam, and the object of both. And at last, in everyone's heart. Yes, we can read the first paragraph.
Can I have Prabhuji?
Yes.
He is the source of light in all.
This one, paragraph.
Jyotisham api tad. The super soul, the supreme personality of Godhead, is the source of light in all luminous objects like sun, moon, and stars. In the Vedic literature, we find that in the spiritual kingdom, there is no need of sun or moon because the effulgence of the Supreme Lord is there. In the material world, that Brahma Jyoti, the Lord's spiritual effulgence, is covered by the Mahatattva, Mahatattva. The material elements, therefore, in this material world, we require the assistance of sun, moon, electricity, etc. for light. But in the spiritual world, there is no need of such things. It is clearly stated in the Vedic literature that because of his luminous effulgence, everything is illuminated. Tamasaha param
Yes.
uchyate.
Tamasa param uchyate. This is the second part. Prabhupada is trying to mention the purport that Krishna is the source of the sun and the moon. It's basically Brahma Jyoti, and Brahma Jyoti is the source of that effulgence in the sun and moon. That is what Prabhupada writes in some places. Spiritual world, there is no need of electricity. Natat Bhashyati Suro, Na Shashanka Pavaka. But in the material world, Brahma Jyoti, and it is called Mahat Tattva. So there is need of sun and moon. But the effulgence of sun and moon is Krishna himself. Yes, next. Tamasa Paramuchyati.
Tamasaha param uchyate. It is clear, therefore, that his situation is not in the material world. He is situated in the spiritual world, which is far, far away in the spiritual sky. That is also confirmed in the Vedic literature. Aditya Varnam Tamasaha Parastat Sveta Swatara Upanishad 3.8. He is just like the sun, eternally luminous, but he is far, far beyond the darkness of this material world. Shall I continue?
Yes. Yes. So he's not in this world. Tad Dure Tadvantikehe. He is in the spiritual world. Yeah.
Gnanam Gneyam Gnanagamyam. His knowledge is transcendental. The Vedic literature confirms that Brahman is concentrated transcendental knowledge. To one who is anxious to be transferred to that spiritual world, knowledge is given by the spiritual law, so Supreme Lord, who is situated in everyone's heart. One Vedic mantra, Svetaswatara Upanishad 6.18, says, Tamhadevam Atma Buddhi Prakasham Mumukshur Vice Saranam Maham Prapadye. Saranam Maham Prapadye. One must surrender onto the Supreme Personality of Godhead if he at all wants liberation. As far as the goal of ultimate knowledge is concerned, it is also confirmed in Vedic literature. Tameva viditvati mrityum. Only by knowing him, one can surpass the boundaries of birth and death. Shweta Swatara Upanishad 3.8. Prabhuji, we can't hear you.
You can continue.
Yeah. Iti kshetram tataha gnanam gneyam choktam samasataha. Yeah. Kriti sarvasya vistitam. He is situated in everyone's heart as the supreme controller. The supreme has legs and hands distributed everywhere, and this cannot be said of the individual soul. Therefore, that there are two nodes of the field of activity, the individual soul and the super soul, must be admitted. One's hands and legs are distributed locally, but Krishna's hands and legs are distributed everywhere. This is confirmed in the Sweta Swatara Upanishad 3.17. Sarvasya Prabhum Ishanam Sarvasya Sharanam Brahat. That Supreme Personality of Godhead, Super Soul, is the Prabhu or Master of all the living entities. Therefore, he is the ultimate shelter of all living entities. So, there is no denying the fact that the Supreme Super Soul and the individual soul are always different.
Yes. So this is how Prabhupada concludes. Each and every shloka, Prabhupada divides into elaborates on it. Light of the luminous, beyond this material world, object of Jnana and Gayam, and Hiri Hridi Sarvasya Visitam. He's present within the heart, situated in everyone's heart as Paramatma. Basically speaking about the super soul. So now this concludes the answer for Gayam. What is to be known by the Jnana? One is soul in 13th verse, and 14 to 18 speaks about the qualities of the super soul. So in 19th verse, Prabhupada, Krishna concludes whatever he has spoken till now. Till now, from first to 18th verse, what he has spoken, he tries to summarize in this verse here. Iti kshetram tata jnanam neyam shoktam samasatah madbhakta etad vijnaya madbhavayo papadyate. What he's trying to tell is, Krishna is saying to Arjuna, till now I have explained to you about Kshetragya, Kshetra, and then Geyam and Jnana. 4 questions are answered now. But who can understand this thing? What is the qualification for understanding this knowledge? Mad bhakta etad vijnaya kshetram jnanam geyam. Body, jnanam is the knowledge. And what is the knowledge? To know super soul, to know soul, and they are different. And kshetra is a product of, and super soul is a product, is a controller of both kshetra and kshetragya, that is soul. What is Gayam? Soul and super soul. So all things, these 4 things, somebody who can understand it. Krishna Sling, I have explained to you, but somebody who is my devotee, Mad Bhakta Etad Vijnaya, Mad Bhavo Yo Papadyate. So only a devotee who is trying to practice Krishna consciousness, or unless unless somebody has no devotion, he cannot understand this thing. Yes, true. So next devotee can read.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, can I read?
Yes, 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 yes.
Thus, the field of activities, the body, knowledge, and the knowable have been summarily described by me. Only my devotees can understand this thoroughly and thus attain to my nature. The Lord has described in summary the body, knowledge, and the knowable. The knowledge is of 3 things: the knower, the knowable, and the process of knowing. Combined, these are called Vijna. Combined, these are called jnana, or the science of knowledge. Perfect knowledge can be understood by the unalloyed devotees of the Lord directly. Others are unable to understand. The monists say that the ultimate stage, these 3 items become one, but the devotees do not accept this. Knowledge and development of knowledge mean understanding oneself in Krishna consciousness. We are being led by material consciousness, but as soon as we transfer all consciousness to Krishna activities and realize that Krishna is everything, then we attain the real knowledge. In other words, knowledge is nothing but the preliminary stage of understanding devotional service perfectly. In the 15th chapter, this will be very clearly explained. Now, to summarize, one may understand that verse 6 and 7, beginning from Mahabhutani and continuing through Chetana Drita, analyze the material elements and certain manifestations of the symptoms of life. These combine to form the body or the field of activities. And verses 8 through 12 from Amanavitam through Amanvitam through Tattva Jnanartha Darshanam describe the process of knowledge for understanding both types of knower of the field of activities, namely the soul and the super soul. Then verses 13 through 18, beginning from Anadi Matranam and continuing through Hriddhi Sarvasya Vishtitam, describe the soul and the Supreme Lord or the super soul. Thus, 3 items have been described: the field of activity, the body, the process of understanding, and both the soul and the super soul. It is specially described here that only the unalloyed devotees of the Lord can understand these 3 items clearly. So for these devotees, Bhagavad-gita is fully useful. It is they who can attain the supreme goal, the nature of Supreme Lord Krishna. In other words, only devotees and not others can understand Bhagavad-gita and derive the desired result.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So this is being very clearly told here. Once again, we'll go back to the verse. Iti kshetram tata jnanam. Kshetram, which is coming in the description of this, comes in second verse and even in third verse. Geyam Choktam Samasata. Kshetram Jnanam Geyam. And even Kshetragya. 4 questions are answered. And where all these 4 questions are answered, Prabhupada is giving in summary in the last paragraph. In 5th and 6th, Kshetra, constituents of the Kshetra, Yadrich, Yadvikari, Yadrich, all those things are described. And 8 to 12, the knowledge by which means of knowledge is described, Jnana. And then Gayam is described from 13 to 18. So this is summary. So who can understand this? Because all of you are devotees, or anybody who's devotee, they can understand Bhagavad Gita so easily. But somebody is not a devotee. You'll tell why your Swami Prabhupada is writing so much, always, everywhere, Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. Because that is a rebelliousness. Problem is, we have come to this material world because of our independent mentality to lord it over the material nature. And what is the solution? Solution is Bhakti. So somebody is not a Bhakta, he will not be able to become free from the miseries of cycle of birth and death. Adi Daivik Klesha, Adi Bauddhik Klesha, Adhyatmik Klesha. Actually, same thing. Actually, this 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, if you want to know in more detail, you can read 3rd canto, 6th, 7th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. Vidura Maitreya, they are trying to discuss same thing about Jiva. What is going to come next section? So I'm not going to now 2 classes have explained about the flow and connections. What I want to do is, now it's 7:07. I want to give some 5 minutes time to 5 to 6 minutes time to you. We are going to complete today verses from 20 to 35. What I'd like to do, what I would like all of you to do is, you can read translations from 20th to 35th. And you should try to tell which question is remaining and where it is being answered. Okay, take your time. 5 minutes or 6 minutes time. 7, 8 till 7:15. 7:15, then you take your pen, you take your Bhagavad Gita with you, or if you are in a tab or if your laptop, you can open a Vedabase. Read from 20th verse to 35th verse. And where are the remaining second 2 questions are being answered? Try to find it out. Question is clear? Yes. So I felt it's like myself telling everything. All of you are very intelligent students. So you can also try to utilize your intelligence to get trusted otherwise if I start giving everything so easily. So I'll pause myself. You go through it. Don't log out. 7:15, I'll ask you this.
Prabhuji, I have a question, Prabhuji. Isn't Kshetrajna and Gneyam same thing, because Kshetrajna is also soul and super soul, and Gneyam is also soul and super soul. But
Yeah.
in one case, it is the knower of the Kshetra, and other thing is the object of the knowledge.
I told it in last class. Kshetra is body. Kshetragya, in this body there is soul and super soul. And Gayam is to realize that soul and to realize that super soul. The conditioned soul, in his body also there is soul and there is super soul. And when that conditioned soul practices Jnana process, the realization of that he is eternity aspect, that he is part and parcel of Krishna, that is Gayam. To go from the conditioned level to the unconditioned level, that constitutes Gayam. Because if you read the translation, it is showing what all things he is Gayam, Jiva is Matparam, is Anadim, but Kshetragya is inside the body. But realizing the liberated condition, that is Gayam. Okay. Fine then. So you can read from 28 to 35th. 5 minutes, it's already 7:11, 7:16, 7:17.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji and Matajis. Let's start. Maybe, we will go as per the order which is mentioned in the participation list, right? And each one can read one text and translation. Sakshat Prabhu, you wanted to read it out or should we read it within us? How do you want to do it? I'm sorry if I missed it.
So what I feel is it can be a individual activity. You
Okay.
can quickly skim through the whole translations and find out where the next Prakriti Purusha is being answered and what discussion is going on. I
Okay.
want to flow. Okay.
Sure, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
All of you ready? So devotees, all of you ready? Have you finished reading once? Translation? Okay, take your time. 2 more minutes. Yes. So someone can share what they understood, what is going on. Who would like to share? Now for next 15 minutes, all will become teachers. Imagine you're teaching and you teach for 2 minutes. You can tell the flow from 20 to 35. What is happening? And for all of you can kindly switch on your videos. You have to teach, you can't switch off your videos while teaching. So we have 4 devotees switching on. What about others? Sita Devi Mataji. And oh, our Karunamai, Radhika Mataji, then Sita Devi Mataji. Think you are on some yatra, Mataji.
No, Prabhu, the Zoom is on her name and I can't change the name, Prabhu.
Oh, really? I can just change it.
No.
You go in that rename option here like this.
I don't get it, Prabhu, from my side. I've told that, Prabhu.
I'll do
I'm
that.
not able to.
Okay, I'll do it for you. What is your name?
Taruna Radhika Devi.
What I should write? Karuna Radhika Devi Dasya there. Karuna Radhika Devi.
That's fine, Prabhu. Whatever you want.
Okay. Whatever is there, it is written.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Yes, who would like to volunteer? I think Baburam Prabhu. Tell me what you read from 20 to 35. Those who have switched off the videos, I'll ask them only first. And then I'll come to people who devotees who are having switched on. You're in company or you are in work?
Yes, Prabhuji, I am in work.
Okay. Murari Prabhu, you are also in work?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Surinder Sanket Prabhu, you are also?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yeah, I'm at home.
Okay. You're at home.
So,
Prabhuji, can I start with 20 and 21 if you are okay?
Huh?
Can I start with 20 and 21, Prabhuji? 13.20 and 21.
He's Surender will start. He's opening his video. Yes, Surender Sanket Prabhu, please.
yeah, Prabhuji, I see this 20 and 21 to be like mostly describing about the knowledge part and
Which knowledge part?
Prabhuji,
Which knowledge part?
the knowledge of
What 2 questions are remaining? 6 questions were there. What are 6 questions? Can you tell?
about the
Hmm.
Prakriti, Purusha, field, that's field and the knower of the field.
Kshetragya, correct? 2 more.
Knowledge, the object of the knowledge.
Okay, Jnana and Nigaya. So this what is covered till now and what is remaining? Okay, no issue. You take your time. I'll ask somebody else. Because we have this much time, I was expecting someone to speak. You can come to the last round. Yes, that's we can tell. What is going on?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. In 20 and 21, Krishna is describing about Prakriti and Purusha.
Okay.
So he gives the information, and in split, it's there Arjuna's question, or maybe, then following 22, he explains who is the actual Purusha. Because there is a confusion that if Purusha is also energy, then why can't we call it as a Prakriti? That's the in-split information is what I understood when I read this. Therefore, without Arjuna asking that question, Krishna explains who is the actual Purusha in 22.
In 22 or in 23?
22 and 23, Prabhuji, both that. Right? Krishna, 22 and 23, he gives those details about who is the actual Purusha.
22 speaks about Purusha Prakriti Stoi, Bhumpe, Prakriti Jan Gunan, Karana Guna Sangasya, Jasad Yevani Janmasu. So how come 22 is indicating Purusha? Which Purusha?
No. 23, Prabhuji. 22 is Krishna explaining that. My bad. 23, he confirms who is the actual Purusha. Okay. And he says, he is the overseer and the permitter and the sanctioner.
Yes. So 20, 21, 22 is speaking about Purusha.
Prakriti and Purusha and giving information what is actual Purusha.
Okay, after
Because
that.
misconception that living entity thinks he is the Purusha.
Okay, good, very good. Next. After 23, what is happening? You want to continue, or I should ask somebody else? I think you are mute.
Sorry, yeah.
Huh.
Should I continue, Prabhuji?
If you want, you can continue. Other dudes will be very happy.
Yeah, maybe I can just give you some summary about it, what I understood. So 24 and 25 and 26, these things, these three shlokas talks about, understanding about the person, about the freedom from birth and death. Krishna talks about that, right? If you understand these things, how will you be free from the birth and death, basically?
Perfect. Good. Continue. 24th is speaking about.
Yes.
24 speaks about result of what will happen.
Yes,
And
exactly.
25, 26?
Then, I think my understanding is Krishna talks about the information what is already given about the yoga system, Dhyana Yoga, Sankhya Yoga, Nishkama Yoga.
Yes.
In the
Why is that
purpose.
information?
Sorry, Prabhuji.
Why is giving that information? For what?
Yeah, maybe I'll have to go further, Prabhuji. I could not go further into that.
No issue.
Prabhuji, in the 24th verse, Krishna is telling that this is the result of all this knowledge, and to get this knowledge, these are the methods you can follow.
Yes.
So
Correct.
all the Ashtanga yoga and all, and then in 26 he talks about the other method is the Bhakti yoga.
Yes. Correct. Das Rashkuru, what you're telling is correct. And what Surabhi Mataji has written is correct. So basically section from 20 to 26 is about Purusha Prakriti.
Yeah.
And then Purusha Prakriti, how they are bound, interacted. Then it speaks about Super Soul in 23rd. 24th is liberation can be sought out if they understand Purusha Prakriti, that Jivatma is bound, and somebody understands Super Soul, he is not bound like Jivatma, that will make him liberated. And how to achieve this process? Karma, it's process of Dhyana, Jnana, and Nishkama Karma. And then 26 speaks about this can also be achieved by what all of you are doing now, hearing from Prabhupada purports. So by Bhakti also you can easily realize it. This is a section. So this concludes 6 questions.
Yes.
So anybody would like to speak from 27 to 35? What is happening in 27 to 35? Somebody else. Thank you, Dasraj.
27 to... Okay.
Who's speaking? Okay. Karuna Radhika Mataji, you want to speak, or Surya Mataji? Who we can decide among yourselves?
Mataji, please go ahead. Mataji.
Yeah. So 27th, he's saying that all entities are a combination of Prakriti and Purusha. There's a combination of field of activity and the field purpose. So Kshetra and Kshetrajna together.
Okay.
And then 28th, he talks about the equal vision, Prabhu, like the Paramatma's vision is equally disposed to all living entities.
Okay.
And then 29, so somebody who has this equal vision or who's equally disposed to all living entities or mature vision, this is because of the real knowledge and such people. So what is the benefit? They're saying the benefit is that they do not degrade themselves by deviating their minds, and then they can attain the spiritual world. Tato yata param gatim. Then the how does this true seer see the jiva and prakriti? That such a person will see prakriti as the doer, and that the jiva is the non-doer.
Yes, very good. So now from 31 to 35, let Surya Mataji speak. Thank you, Mataji, Karuna Radhika Mataji, for adding. From 27 to 30. Yeah.
From where, Prabhuji?
From 31. 31 to 35.
31 is basically the like what's there's another verse for it. Pandit's vision is like he sees everybody equally. So in this, like a sensible man ceases to see different identities due to different material bodies, and he sees how beings are expanded everywhere, he attains the Brahman conception. So this is a Brahman vision, basically.
Brahma Sampadhyate. Correct. Next. 32, 32.
Yeah, he attains. And then 32, the soul is not the doer and is not entangled by the material activities, what the body is doing.
Okay.
That because the soul is imperishable and is transcendental. It's because of this association with the modes of material nature, those activities it is performing, but it is not the doer. And the soul doesn't mix with the matter in 33.
34.
34 is 34 that the soul is it's as a sun alone illuminates all the universe, so there's a soul in the body of a person, in any body illuminates. The soul is illuminating.
And what is the last? 35.
And last is it talks about those who sees this, what is the result of seeing all this, the Falashruti.
So all of you are fit to teach Bhakti Shastri now. So after completing Bhakti Shastri, can do Bhakti TTC1, TTC2, and all of you can take. So it's very simple. So we'll quickly skim
No,
through.
Prabhuji, but I would like you to just expand more on how the soul is not the doer and doesn't get entangled, though it has to bear the consequences of its karma in various births. So how is that different? Like, how do we see these two things differently?
Yeah, we will just see it. We'll just quickly go through the Prabhupada purports and section. 8:15 to 8:30, I'll give 15 minutes time for the question answers. And meanwhile, if somebody gets question, we will.
Okay.
Let's quickly go through. All of you have gone once, but let's go through Prabhupada purports. 1 minute. Yes. Not this. Yeah. So Krishna has answered already some 4 questions out of 6. So now Krishna is going to answer the remaining 2 questions. And Krishna, this is Krishna is giving his class. Can you imagine directly hearing from the class from Krishna? So many times when I came initially in Krishna consciousness, I was feeling, oh, Arjuna was so fortunate. You're sitting next to him in the chariot and Krishna is speaking to him Bhagavad directly. He's getting to hear Bhagavad directly from him. But then when when you start continuing reading Prabhupada purports, Prabhupada says what Krishna was speaking in battlefield of Bhagavad Gita, Kurukshetra, and what Arjuna is trying to hear. The same benefit all of you, all readers of Bhaktivedanta purports are getting. Because if somebody hears in Parampara, there is no addition, there is no deletion. What benefit Arjuna got in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, we can get without being in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Sitting in our houses online, we can get that benefit if we are tuned in to Krishna's channel. So when we read Bhagavad Gita, we should read as if Krishna is instructing Arjuna and Krishna is instructing me also. When we read Prabhupada purports or Bhagavatam, Prabhupada is speaking to me only. So what happens is that will be very enlivening experience. So what Krishna is giving is a discourse of around 45 minutes. He has spoken whole 700 verses. But we expand it on 6 months of Bhagavad Gita study or 9 months it takes. So in 20th verse is saying Prakritim Purusham Chaiva Vidiyanadi Ubam Api Vikaramscha Gunamschaiva Vidhi Prakriti Sambhavan. So in 20th verse he's speaking about Vikaram. If you remember that 6th verse, 4th verse, Yacha Yat Yadrakcha, yad vikari, yatascha, yat svabhava, yat. So there that vikari word comes. So this is coming here also. So 20th verse speaks about the vikara. Material nature and the living entity should be understood to be beginningless. They're eternal. They are being created, they're annihilated, created, annihilated. But when this creation and annihilation started, nobody knows. So the transformations and the modes of matter are product of material nature. So what Prabhupada is going to speak in this? Yes. Somebody can read this?
Yes, Prabhuji, can I read?
Yes.
By the knowledge given in this chapter, one can understand the body, the field of activities, and the knower of the body, both the individual soul and the super soul. The body is the field of activity and is composed of material nature. The individual soul that is embodied and enjoying the activities of the body is the Purusha or the living entity. He is one knower and the other is super soul. Of course, it is to be understood that both the super soul and the individual entity are different manifestations of the supreme personality of Godhead. The living entity is in category of his energy and the super soul is in the category of his personal expansion. Both material nature and the living entity are eternal. That is to say that they exist before the creation. The material manifestation is from the energy of Supreme Lord, and so also are the living entities. But the living entities are of the superior energy. Both the living entity and the material nature existed before this cosmos was manifested. Material nature was absorbed in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Mahavishnu, and when it was required, it was manifested by the agency of Mahat Tattva. Similarly, the living entities are not allowed to enter into the spiritual sky, but with the coming forth of material nature, these living entities are again given a chance to act in the material world and prepare themselves to enter into the spiritual world. This is the mystery of the material creation. Actually, the living entity is originally the spiritual part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. But due to his rebellious nature, he is conditioned within material nature. It really doesn't matter how these living entities or superior entities of the Supreme Lord have come in the contact with material nature. The Supreme Personality of Godhead knows, however, how and why this actually took place. In the scriptures, the Lord says that those attracted by this material nature are undergoing a hard struggle for existence. But we should know it with certainly from the description of these few verses that all transformations and the influences of material nature by the three modes are also productions of material nature. All transformation and variety in respect to living entity are due to the body. As far as spirit is concerned, living entities are all the same. Krishna.
Speaking in this purport. You have finished Mataji, na? Reading the purport?
Yes,
Yeah.
Prabhuji, I finished.
Yes. So Krishna is dividing the whole purport into 4 parts. What he begins with, he starts with telling that what chapter 12 is speaking about. Body and the difference between the two knowers of the body. So he speaks about the Kshetra and the Purusha. So one Purusha is living entity, that is Lord's superior energy, and second Purusha is super soul, and it is Lord's expansion. This is the first 3-4 lines he speaks on this. Then next 7, 8, 10 lines he speaks on the mystery of creation. This word comes there in the purport, mystery of creation. What's trying to tell? He's trying to tell about, in translation also it is there. Material nature and living entity is eternal, but vikaraha. The difference is the material nature. What is that? The body, pancha mahabhuta, mind, intelligence, ego, ahankar, mahatattva, tanmatra, karmendriya, gyanendriya. This everything comes in material body. So this is subjected to interaction. This is subjected to transformation. So the matter gets transformed, but the soul is unchanging. Then what happens? The matter is again absorbed at the end of the pralaya into Mahavishnu's body. And those souls who are purified, they go back to Godhead. But those souls who are still attached to the body, they again get absorbed in Mahavishnu's body through all the universes merging again back into his body. When Mahavishnu breathes out, the whole universe comes out. When Mahavishnu breathes in, again, that one breath is equal to 100 years of Brahma. And 1 day of Brahma, all of you know, it is Sasriga Paryantam Aharyat Brahmanam Vidu. It is 1,000 Divya Yugas of ours. So Krishna Prabhupada emphasizes there on that. And the living entity also gets absorbed in Mahavishnu's body. Again, they are given a chance to prepare to go back to Godhead when? Again, when the next creation happens. Again, Prabhupada addresses on this. Somebody may get a question, why this living entity has to suffer so much? Why this living entity who is eternal, who is a superior energy, why it falls down? It gives the reason. It tells 3 points on this. Due to rebellious nature, lording or mentality. And what it is again? It really doesn't matter when that rebellion began. And as people speak now, you tell me clearly when I came to this material world. But we are in time factor. In spiritual world, there is no time factor. So you cannot trace out time when. And you cannot tell, what is it. But what Prabhupada is mentioning, what he's trying to tell is, he's trying to tell the Supreme Lord knows how and why this took place. So just accept it. And at last, Prabhupada speaks concluding, what does the Lord focus on in the scriptures? The living entity attracted by material nature is undergoing a hard struggle for material existence. Prakriti sthani karshati. So what we should do? So know for all certain that all transformations and all influences, vikara and prabhava of these 3 modes are production of material nature. This material world is made up of 3 modes. And then, as far as spirit soul is concerned, living entities are all of the same, and all transformations and varieties are due to the body. Basically, vikara is happening in the body. So let's go to the next shloka. Karya karana kartrutve hetu prakriti ruchyate purusha sukha dukkhanam bhoktrutve hetu ruchyate. Yes, somebody can read the translation in purport.
Shall I read, Prabhuji?
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Madhuri, read.
Okay, Madhuri.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji Dandavat. Nature is said to be the cause of all material causes and defects, whereas the living entity is the cause of the various sufferings and enjoyments in this world. Purport. The different manifestations of body and senses among the living entities are due to material nature. There are 84 lakhs different species of life, and these varieties are creations of the material nature. They arise from the different sensual pleasures of the living entity, who thus desires to live in this body of the. When he is put into different bodies, he enjoys different kinds of happiness and distress. His material happiness and distress are due to his body and not to himself as he is. In his original state, there is no doubt of enjoyment. Therefore, that is his real state. Because of the desire to lord it over material nature, he is in the material world. In the spiritual world, there is no such thing. The spiritual world is pure, but in the material world, everyone is struggling hard to acquire different kinds of pleasures for the body. It might be more clear. Prabhuji, can you scroll? Yeah, because of the desire to lord it over material nature, it might be more clear to state that this body is the effect of senses. The senses are instruments for gratifying desire. Now the sum total body and instrument senses are offered by material nature, and as will be clear in the next verse, the living entity is blessed or damned with circumstances according to his past desire and activity. According to one's desires and activities, material nature places one in various residential quarters. The being himself is the cause of his attaining such residential quarters and his attendant enjoyment or suffering. Once placed in some particular kind of body, he comes under the control of nature because of the body being matter acts according to the laws of nature. At that time, the living entity has no power to change that law. Suppose an entity is put into the body of a dog. As soon as he is put into the body of a dog, he must act like a dog. He can't act otherwise. And if the living entity is put into the body of a hog, and then he is forced to eat stool and act like a herb. Similarly, the living entity is put into the body of a demigod. He must act according to his body. In the Vedas, Mundakopanishad 3.1.1 as follows. The Supurna Sayuja Sakhaya, the Supreme Lord is so kind upon the living entity that he always accompanies the individual soul and in all circumstances he is present as the super soul.
What Mataji just now read in this purport, Prabhupada is trying to emphasize on three things. Different manifestations of body and senses among living entities are due to material nature. Basically, if you see the shloka, Karya Karana Kartrutve. So what is this Karya? This Karya is the cause. What is the Karana? Happiness and distress because of senses. And Kartrutve is the demigods. It comes in second canto, 6th chapter. Again, it comes in third canto, 6th chapter. Karya Karana Kartrutve. Karya is the body. Material nature is the cause of the body. Karana, okay, body is being given by the material nature, but soul has to enter inside. But soul is inside. Without senses, sense objects, it cannot interact. Karana means the soul with the senses, it experiences happiness and distress. That is the Karana. And Kartatve, somebody may have senses, somebody is born blind, somebody is deaf, somebody is paralyzed. If the demigod in charge is not sanctioning that, if he has not done that piety, then he can't. So Karya Karyana Kartatve Hetu Prakriti Ruchate. So Prakriti is the cause of this Karya Karana Kartatve. So demigods, senses, and the body is given by the Prakriti. So because of the living entity's desire to enjoy. Second part of the shloka, Purusha Sukha Dukkham Nam Bhuktutve Hetu Ruchate. So the living entity is identifying with this body given by the Prakriti, and he tries to bhuktutve. With the intention of enjoying it, he enters inside the body. So the happiness and distress is being caused by the living entity's desire. And that is the reason Prabhupada is telling, in a dog's body, he has particular set of desire and activity. As a demigod, it is a separate. And in a hawk's body, it is separate. So basically, because of past desire and deserve, one gets according different residential quarters. So nothing is destined. Freedom is with living entity. Therefore, it is told Purusha Sukha Dukkhanam. When it's like somebody has given you a remote control of your life. And what is the remote control of your life? Your desire, your free will. And what you want to do, what Jivatma wants to do, it wants to enjoy. So because of Bhoktrutva Hetu Ruchate, it is experiencing suffering. And therefore, Prabhupada says 3 parts in this. That manifestation of body, Karya, Karana, Kartritva is because of material nature. Second part, material world is a place of struggle because this is not a place of happiness. Based on karma, one gets happiness and distress. If it is beyond one's karma, one is not going to get it. He's going to suffer like anything. But third thing Prabhupada mentions is super soul always accompanies in all circumstances, in all bodies. It's quoting Mundaka Upanishad. So next theme, that desire to enjoy forgets the bond between Purusha and Prakriti. That is the next shloka. Purusha Prakriti Stoi. Bhungte Prakriti Jangunan Karanas Guna Sangasya Sad Asad Yoni Janmashu. Yes, Shurbi Mata, you can read.
Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes. 22nd translation and purport.
22nd. The living entities in material nature thus follows the way of life, enjoying the 3 modes of nature. This is due to his association with that material nature. Thus he meets with good and evil among various species. This verse is very important for an understanding on how the living entities transmigrate from one body to another. It is explained in the 2nd chapter that the living entities is transmigrating from one body to another just as one changes dress. This change of dress is due to his attachment to material existence. As long as he is captivated by this false manifestation, he has to continue transmigrating from one body to another. Due to this desire to lord it over material nature, he is put into such undesirable circumstances under the influence of material desire. The entity is born sometimes as a demigod, sometimes as a man, sometimes as a beast, as a bird, as a worm, as an aquatic, as in saintly man, as a bug. This is going on, and in all cases, the living entity thinks himself to be the master of his circumstances, yet he's under the influence of material nature. How he is put into such different bodies is explained here. It is due to association with the different modes of nature. One has to rise, therefore, above the three modes of nature and become situated in the transcendental position. This is called Krishna consciousness. Unless one is situated in Krishna consciousness, his material consciousness will oblige him to transfer from one body to another because he has material desires since time. But he has to change this conception. That change can be effected only by hearing from authoritative sources. The best example is here, Arjuna is hearing the signs of God from Krishna, the living entity. If he submits to this hearing process, will lose his long cherished desire to dominate material nature, and gradually and proportionately, as he reduces his long desire to dominate, he comes to enjoy spiritual happiness. In a Vedic mantra, it is said that as he becomes learned in association with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he proportionately relishes his eternal blissful life.
Yes. Four things Prabhupada is trying to tell here. This verse specifically signifies how a living entity transmigrates from one body to another body. He gives the analogy of change of dress, Bhagavadgita 2.22. Then that change of dress is due to attachment to material existence. And his desire to lord over takes him from a demigod to human to beast or bedbug. This is the first paragraph Prabhupada speaks about it. And then whatever I was highlighting, I'm speaking about that. The second thing what Prabhupada is speaking here is the binding factor for the body. Soul is eternal, soul is spiritual. So what is binding him to the body? Association with the three modes. In all the cases, master of circumstance he thinks, but he's under the material nature. So how to become free from this bond? Getting free from the bonds? Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness will help him to rise above the three modes and become transcendental. The second part Prabhupada writes. Third thing, how to start Krishna consciousness? How this change can be effected? What is Krishna consciousness? Hearing from authoritative sources. Prabhupada quotes example of Arjuna, and later on he quotes Vedic mantra. As soon as he becomes an association of devotees, he can become completely eternally blissful. So, Upadrashtanumanta cha bharta bhokta maheshwara paramatmeti chapi yukta dehesmin purusha para. So 20 speaks about Purusha Prakriti. 21 spoke about what is the role of Prakriti. Prakriti is Karana, Karya, and then Kartatva. But the Jivatma, the Purusha, basically living entity, he is a cause of happiness distress. And then 22 spoke about how that happiness and distress is caused because of entanglement in the three modes, because of his loading or mentality. But 23rd verse speaks about there is another Purusha, that is Upadrashtanumanta Bharta Bhokta Maheshwaram Paramatmeti Chapyukta Dehesmin Purusha Para. And this Purusha is not bound, he is free, he is super soul. Yes, somebody would like to read?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji, please read.
Translation. Yet in this body there is another, a transcendental enjoyer, who is the Lord, the supreme proprietor, who exists as the overseer and permitter, and who is known as the super soul. Purport. It is stated here that the super soul, who is always with the individual soul, is the representation of the Supreme Lord. He is not an ordinary living entity, because the monist philosophers take the knower of the body to be one. They think that there is no difference between the super soul and the individual soul. To clarify this, the Lord says that he is represented as the Paramatma in every body. He is different from the individual soul. He is para, transcendental. The individual soul enjoys the activities of a particular field, but the super soul is present not as finite enjoyer, nor as one taking part in bodily activities. but as the witness, overseer, permitter, and supreme enjoyer. His name is Paramatma, not Atma, and he is transcendental. It is distinctly clear that the Atma and Paramatma are different. The super soul, the Paramatma, has legs and hands everywhere, but the individual soul does not. And because the Paramatma is the supreme Lord, he is present within to sanction the individual soul's desiring material enjoyment. Without the sanction of the supreme soul, the individual soul cannot do anything. The individual soul is Bhukta, or the sustained, and the Lord is Bhokta, or the maintainer. There are innumerable living entities, and he is saying in them as a friend.
Yes. So basically, the first paragraph, Prabhupada is trying to refute this monistic philosophy that he's not an ordinary living entity. Many monistic philosophers, what they tell, the body, the personality in the body, Atma is everything. It is 13.23 is referring to that. But firstly, no, there is difference between super soul and the individual soul. What is the difference? He is different from the individual soul. His name is Paramatma, not Atma. His role is being mentioned here: witness, overseer, permitter, super enjoyer. He's all pervading, has legs, hands, and everywhere. He's maintainer, bhokta, and his real friend. That is what Prabhupada intends. So Prabhupada is speaking about this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 refutations for this is monistic philosopher who says that soul is same as super soul. So in the next second paragraph, he speaks about relationship between living entity and super soul. Continue, Mataji reading.
Yes, Prabhuji. The fact is that every individual living entity is eternally part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, and both of them are very intimately related as friends. But the living entity has the tendency to reject the sanction of the Supreme Lord and act independently in an attempt to dominate nature. And because he has this tendency, he is called the marginal energy of the Supreme Lord. The living entity can be situated either in the material energy or in the spiritual energy. As long as he is conditioned by the material energy, the Supreme Lord, as his friend, the Super Soul, stays with him just to get him to return to the spiritual energy. The Lord is always eager to take him back to the spiritual energy. But due to his minute independence, the individual entity is continually rejecting the association of spiritual light. This misuse of independence is the cause of his material strife in the conditioned nature. The Lord, therefore, is always giving instruction from within and from without. From without, he gives instruction as stated in Bhagavadgita, and from within, he tries to convince the living entity that his activities in the material field are not conducive to real happiness. Just give it up and turn your fate toward me. Then you will be happy, he says. Thus, the intelligent person who places his faith in the Paramatma or the Supreme Personality of Godhead begins to advance toward a blissful eternal life of knowledge. Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Yes. First part, monistic theory refutation. Second part, relation between living entity and soul. So living entity is part and parcel, is marginal, and disuse of the independence is the cause of his strife, struggle. So Lord becomes his super well-wisher by coming as Bhagavad Gita, by coming as Paramatma, Antaryami. But the rebellious soul doesn't accept it, but the intelligent person, he places his faith in the Paramatma and begins to advance to a blissful eternal life of us. Three things Prabhupada speaks here. Yes. So 24 again, 25, 26 speaks about the result of the knowledge, ways to get that knowledge. Yes. So we'll एवं वेत्ति पुरुषं प्रकृति च गुणैः सह सर्वतः वर्तमानोऽपि न स भूयो अभिजायते. Yes. One who understands this philosophy concerning material nature, the living entity, and the interaction of the modes of nature is sure to attain liberation. He will not take birth here again, regardless of his present position. So what Prabhupada is trying to speak in this verse is, he tells this verse indicates the result of knowledge. Knowledge of truly understanding the relation between soul and super soul. That is liberation, return back from back to God. What is the purpose of knowledge? To understand how the living entity has fallen into this material nature. Why? And how it can come out. Understand your position. By endeavor, personal endeavor in association with Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. And again take up Krishna consciousness by understanding Bhagavad Gita. And understand Supreme Lord. That is what Prabhupada writes in this purport. 25. Dhyanenaatma pashyanti kechidatmana atmana anya sankena yogena karma yogena chapare. Dhyana yoga, and after that Sankhya is nothing but Jnana. Ashtanga is Dhyana. Dhyana, Jnana, Karma. These are the ways to achieve, cultivate this knowledge of super soul. Some pursue super soul within themselves through meditation, cultivation of knowledge, Jnana, still through working without fruitive desires. That is Nishkama Karma Yoga. Nishkama, without expecting any result. By that, one becomes detached and one can come to the level of Paramatma. So, what Prabhupada is trying to speak in this glimpse of this is Lord explains two classes of conditioned souls, faithful in spiritual life. Second part is atheistic and agnostic. That is the first part Prabhupada is trying to speak about. And then devotees of the Lord are best situated in spiritual understanding because they know that beyond the material nature, spiritual world is there. And the same Lord who is in Goloka is expanded as Paramatma. Third part Prabhupada is trying to speak here is Sankhya. Philosopher analyzes material world 24 elements. And they place the soul as 25th element. Realize the entity above the soul is super soul, 26th element. And finally come to the devotional service in Krishna consciousness. In that way, they relish. And the renounced workers, that is Nishkama Karma people, how they come to this conclusion of faithful and are perfect in their attitude, also given a chance to progress in Krishna consciousness. So all three category, by their practice, they come to the level of soul. Prabhupada mentions in this purport. 26th. Anyatva evam ajanantah Shutva nebhya upasate te api chati taranti eva mrityum shruti parayanaha. Yes, somebody can read.
Scripture. Translation. Again, there are those who, although not conversant in spiritual knowledge, begin to worship the Supreme Person upon hearing about him from others. Because of their tendency to hear from authorities, they also transcend the path of birth and death. Purport. This verse is particularly applicable to modern society because in modern society, there is practically no education in spiritual matters. Some of the people may appear to be atheistic or agnostic or philosophical, but actually there is no knowledge of philosophy. As for the common man, if he is good soul, then there is a chance for advancement by hearing. This hearing process is very important. Lord Chaitanya, who preached Krishna consciousness in the modern world, gave great stress to hearing because if the common man simply hears from authoritative sources, he can progress, especially according to Lord Chaitanya. If he hears the transcendental vibration, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. It is stated, therefore, that all men should take advantage of hearing from realized souls and gradually become able to understand everything. The worship of the Supreme Lord will then undoubtedly take place. Lord Chaitanya has said that in this age, no one needs to change his position, but one should give up the endeavor to understand the absolute truth by speculative reasoning. One should learn to become the servant of those who are in knowledge of the Supreme Lord. If one is fortunate enough to take shelter of a pure devotee, hear from him about self-realization and follow in his footsteps, one will be gradually elevated to the position of a pure devotee. In this verse, particularly, the process of hearing is strongly recommended, and this is very appropriate. Although the common man is often not as capable as so-called philosophers, faithful hearing from an authoritative person will help one transcend this material existence and go back to Godhead, back to throne.
Yes.
Thank you,
So,
Prabhuji.
yes, 26th verse, what it speaks about is one may not be a Nishkama Karma Yogi, one may not be a Jnani, one may not be a Ashtanga Yogi like the Vedic times. Now, all of you are in corporate circle. Most of you working are staying in a city atmosphere. Is there any hope for us to realize Paramatma? Good news. Yes. What is the qualification? Any common man, if a good soul, has a chance of advancing by hearing. Hear, Tat Shunu. And what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the authority, has stressed. Simply by hearing from authority, Hare Krishna Mantra, as quoted in Bhagavatam 10:14:3. No need to change any position. Sthane Sita, Sutagata. Stay at a place and hear from bona fide authority. Then you can easily understand that how to become servant of Lord and serving. What is the benediction of hearing? If one takes advantage of hearing from a realized soul, he gradually understands everything, automatically leads to Supreme Lord's worship. Krishna in Bhagavad Gita only at 19th chapter, after 68, 69. One who reads Bhagavad Gita worships me with intelligence. We worship daily with agarbatti, lamp, everything. But if we keep Bhagavad Gita closed inside the red cloth and just put some haldi kumkum on it, no, that is not worship. Reading Bhagavad Gita is worshipping Lord with intelligence. What is reading? Reading is also a hearing because Prabhupada is speaking and we are hearing it. Prabhupada has recorded in the dictaphone and it is being transcribed by the BBT and we are trying to hear it from him. What is conclusion? By good fortune, Brahmanda Gonitikono Bhagyavana Jiva, Guru Krishna Prasadi Pai Bhakti Lata Bij. Take shelter of a pure devotee. That means you get shelter. Who is fortunate gets the shelter of pure devotee. One should hear from such pure devotee and gradual elevation to pure devotional service. So this is the purport is speaking about. Now quickly we'll go to the translation and come back to the question answers in next time. Yavat sanjayate kinchit satvam stavara jangamam kshetra kshetragya samyogat tadvidhi bharatarshava. Yes.
Translation. O chief of Bhartas, know that whatever you see in existence, both the moving and the non-moving, is only a combination of the field of activities and the knower of the field. Forward. Both material nature and the living entity which were existing before the creation of the cosmos are explained in this verse. Whatever is created is but a combination of the living entity and a material nature. There are many manifestations like trees, mountains, and hills which are not moving, and there are many existences which are moving, and all of them are but combinations of material nature and the superior nature, the living entity. Without the touch of superior nature, the living entity, nothing can grow. The relationship between material nature and spiritual nature is eternally going on, and this combination is effected by the Supreme Lord. Therefore, he is the control of both the superior and inferior natures. The material nature is created by him, and the superior nature is placed in this material nature, and thus all these activities and manifestations takes place.
Yes. So what Krishna is saying in the next section from 27 to 35 is Jnana Chakshu. What is the meaning of Jnana Chakshu? We have Charma Chakshu right now. We see with eyes. What we see? What brand of cloth they were wearing? How much? What kind of gold is being worn? Okay, if some celebrities getting married, how much they are being spent? Which celebrity is coming for singing? Basically, completely materialistic view. Charma Chakshu. Sense gratification, based on sense gratification. Gold, silver, gadgets, enjoyment. But what is the meaning of Gyan Chakshu? Is when you read Bhagavad Gita, when you hear the 6 questions, Kshetra, Kshetragya, Purusha, Prakriti, and later on Jnanam, Gyayam. After hearing this, you understand the whole material is composed of these 24 elements. So when the person starts after hearing this, Krishna is telling, imagine Krishna has given a class to all of you this thing till 28. He's telling, after explaining all the 6 things, when you turn around and see around, everything is coming in the 6 things. So everywhere we'll see what? You'll see the combination of matter and spirit. And I'm the controller of both. So that is what Krishna is telling in 28th verse. And basically it's 28, 29, 30. He goes on. Basically, he tries to tell us the vision of a Mahabhagavata, or vision, like we have seen in Ishopanishad, right? First, initially, it is laws of nature, living in harmony with Lord, then vision of Mahabhagavat, and then it is comparison of knowledge, comparison of worship, and then it is prayers. So that vision, after hearing this knowledge, what kind of vision a person has? Jnana Chakshu. One is Charma Chakshu. Later on, we have to have Gyan Chakshu. And Stavar Jangama Deki Na Deki Tayar Murti Sarvatra Ho Ishta Devara Spurti. And here also there is some Stavar Jangama has come in this verse, if I'm not wrong. That means that when a person sees all these things at a level of practice, when he's perfecting his practice at the Jnana Chakshu level, because it's Jnana Yoga part, which is like trying to lead toward Paramatma, here the person sees it as 24 elements made up of matter as well as combination of spirit. But the pure bhakta, when you become when we come to the level of bhava, become pure devotees, we see the same thing, same 27th verse. We don't see it as combination of Prakriti and Purusha. We see what? We see Supreme Lord. Sarvatra hoy Ishtadevara Spurti. That this is like, mother sees a child when he has grown up and he goes outside to study, and mother is sitting alone. She opens the cupboard and she sees, when he is 1 year old, this is socks. When he is 10 years old, okay, this is shorts, this is t-shirt, and she's trying to touch it and embrace it and trying to. She goes back into time lapse. She goes 20-25 years back. So similarly, how the mother who loves a child or any relative, just by seeing their things, they remember. Similarly, at the level of Prema Chakshu, a sadhaka, sorry, a devotee, he remembers Krishna. The same 27th verse, somebody is in a Prema level, he sees by Prema Chakshu. But this 27th to 35 speaking about this knowledge of 6 questions, answers. Krishna is telling you'll be able to see the whole world through Jnana Chakshu. So let's go quickly. Samam sarveshu bhuteshu tishtanam parameshwaram vinasyatsa avinashantam yapashyati sapashyati. Yes. Somebody else can read apart from Madhuri Mataji. She is reading again and again. And all of you are.
Prabhuji, I can read one
Yeah,
more.
yeah.
Okay. One who sees the super soul accompanying the individual soul in all bodies, and who understand that neither the soul nor the super soul within the destructible body is ever destroyed, actually sees. Prabhuji, I couldn't understand this translation.
What? Read once
Matlab,
again. Read once again.
one who sees the super soul accompanying the individual soul in all bodies, and who understand that neither the soul nor the super soul within the destructible body is ever destroyed, actually sees.
What it means is body is destructible because it is a kshetra, and the soul is indestructible and super soul is indestructible. So one who sees the soul and one who sees the super soul, one who sees the body, and one who sees the body is destructible, but who sees that super soul and soul are indestructible is actual seer. Basically, this is knowledge. What is knowledge? Third shloka. What is kshetra? Body. What is kshetragya? Soul. What is another kshetragya? Super soul. But soul and super soul are both spiritual. And what is the difference? Super soul is controller of both. That it is speaking about that. So basically, Prabhupada explains what here? The main man in real knowledge, what he sees. How such vision is possible? By good association with real devotees. Prabhupada says here.
Okay, perfect. Anyone who by good association can see 3 things combined together, the body, the proprietor of the body or individual soul, and the friend of the individual soul, is actually knowledge. Unless one has the association of a real knower of spiritual subjects, one cannot see these 3 things. Those who do not have such association are ignorant. They simply see the body and they think that when the body is destroyed, everything is finished. But actually it is not so. After the dissection of the body, both the soul and the super soul exist. And they go to eternally in many various moving and non-moving forms. The Sanskrit word Parmeshwara is sometimes translated as the individual soul. Because the soul is the master of the body, and after the destruction of the body, he transfers to another form. In that way, he is the master. But there are others who interpret this Parmeshwara to be the super soul. In either case, both the super soul and the individual soul continue. They are not destroyed. One who can see in this way can actually see what is happening.
Okay, now understood?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So if a solution is what is mentioned here, association of devotees, when you hear the subject, you can understand that soul, super soul, both are indestructible, but soul is controller of both. Prabhupada just concludes at the end that Parmeshwar is also known as soul and super soul in some ways. But basically, both are indestructible. That is the point. So what is the result of such saying? He doesn't degrade himself. He doesn't do sense gratification. Samam pashyan hi sarvatra samavastitam ishwaram na hinasti atmanatmanam tato yati param gatim. So what is being told here? Samam pashyam sarvatra samavastitam ishwaram hinasti. He nasti is very important. Na hinasti. Na hinasti atmanatmanam. You have heard that the Ishopnisha third shloka, Asurya namate loke annena tamsavrata trapte patyagi bachanti cheta cha atmahana janah. Atmahana. Same thing. Na hinasti atmanatmanam. So one will not become the killer of the soul if he sees Ishavasham principle. The same thing. Ishavasham, Ishopnisha is based on the Jnana platform. This 13th, the whole section of 13 to 18 is based on the same Jnana platform. So when he understands that Super Soul is the Supreme Lord is the in charge, then he will not degrade. Yes. Please read.
Shall I continue, Prabhuji?
If you are willing, if you are not dry, you can continue. Can
Yes.
continue the shloka, somebody else can read the next shloka. Yeah.
One who sees the super soul equally present everywhere in every living being does not degrade himself by his mind. Thus, he approaches the transcendental destination.
So
Purport.
it's very important. Why? Because many times the whole Bollywood, the whole Hollywood, the whole entertainment, and the so-called modern culture is completely based on the bodily platform, Charma Chakshu. But a person rises above Charma Chakshu and gets the Gyan Chakshu. How will he get it? By Prabhupada books. When you go and give it Prabhupada books, distribute it to him. Or if you may invite, you may speak to him, you try to preach to him. But if you give Prabhupada book to him, then he will start reading and start following you up. Then surely he'll come to Gyan Chakshu. So then he'll not degrade himself. Till the time he doesn't come to Jnana Chakshu, he will continue degrading. So therefore, it's very important for us that when we are reading this, this is to be personally applied in our life. We should not degrade ourselves. So that is what Prabhupada is writing in the purport. Please read, Mataji. Please.
Purport. The living entity, by accepting his material existence, has become situated differently than in his spiritual existence. But if one understands that the Supreme is situated in his Paramatma manifestation everywhere, that is, if one can see the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in every living thing, he does not degrade himself by destructive mentally, and he therefore gradually advances to the spiritual world. The mind is generally addicted to sense gratifying processes. But when the mind turns to the super soul, one becomes advanced in spiritual understanding.
Yes, basically one has to elevate. And how it is possible? By Diksha. When we take Diksha, we get the holy name. When we get Diksha, then we come to goodness. So therefore, by that, we become accountable to one personality. So by hearing from bona fide authority and by chanting the holy names, we can develop this Jnana Chakshu. Prakritaiva cha karmani kriyamanani sarvasah ya pashyati tatatmanam akartaram cha pashyati. Yes. Somebody else can read.
I'll read through.
Yeah.
One who can see that all activities are performed by the body, which is created of material nature, and sees that the self does nothing, actually sees. Purport. This body is made by material nature under the direction of the super soul, and whatever activities are going on in respect to one's body are not his doing. Whatever one is supposed to do, either for happiness or for distress, one is forced to do because of the bodily constitution. The self, however, is outside all these bodily activities. This body is given according to one's past desires. To fulfill desires, one is given the body with which he acts accordingly. Practically speaking, the body is a machine designed by Supreme Lord to fulfill desires. Because of desires, one is put into difficult circumstances to suffer or to enjoy. This transcendental vision of the living entity, when developed, makes one separate from bodily activities. One who has such a vision is an actual seer.
Yes. So what Prabhupada is trying to tell here is, when one gets this knowledge, just we are not trying to read, this is one thing, but we also need the mercy of a pure devotee. When good fortune arises, we can realize knowledge. And what one has to do? Ata Shri Krishna Namadi Nam Bhavet Prayam Indri Sevan Mukehi Jivado Swayam Eva Spuratyada. Tongue, service starting with the tongue, chanting the holy names sincerely, and just taking Krishna Prasad. By this, this knowledge will be revealed. And these two things we have to do very, very sincerely. Not for any personal benefit, not for some agenda, nothing. Sincerely, it's between us and Krishna. If we become sincere, serious, without ulterior motive, this knowledge will be revealed to us. So, such a personality, when he sees, he will become the actual seer. That true seer's vision is what? Jiva and Prakriti. Prakriti is the doer, Jiva is the non-doer. The self doesn't do anything. One who sees like this actually sees. It's the same like Bhagavadgita 3rd chapter, what Krishna mentions in 27th verse. So in this case, what he says is, the Jiva is actually spiritually active, but he has become materially active because of getting a particular body. Kala, karma, subhava is coming from the past life. According to particular time, the particular kala, karma, subhava get activated, and it's like somebody catches by his neck and takes him. That is how the modes act. So therefore, the soul is just a witness along with the super soul. But he has a choice. What should be done, what should not be done. But right now, somebody was asking when I was first class, I was trying to speak. Somebody told, "Prabhu, that means you don't have any free will? Everything is destined?" No. What I do today will become my destiny tomorrow. So what we have done in past life, that becomes our destiny, destined in the next life. Therefore, that means right now what I'm doing, that free will I have, that will create my future. So in that way, what we have done in our past life, that has created a kala, karma, subhava, which is stored. Like CNC machine is there, you put a chip inside, it goes straight, right, left. That is how machine works. Similarly, we have put in our subtle body the imprints in previous lives, just before the death. So as soon as you are born, therefore sanskara is very important. By everybody by birth is Shudra, but sanskarat bhavet dvija. By that sanskaras, one can eradicate past life conditionings. So from that point of view, Prakriti is actually is doing it to Kala, Karma, Svabhava, or Karana, Karya, and Kartrutve. But the living entity, because of his enjoying propensity, he suffers happiness, distress. So what he should do is, he should try to dovetail his consciousness, Krishna consciousness. Then he becomes free. Yes, Survi Mataji, you had a question regarding this, you are asking. So I'll close it now. If you have questions regarding this, we will take, and then we can continue.
I had the question about the soul not entangled and is not a non-doer.
Once again, Mataji, can you repeat?
So Prabhuji, I had a question for this 32nd verse. Now the soul is not doer, is not entangled.
Same thing. 30, 31, 32 is going to be same. 31,
Yeah. So
yeah.
how come, like, if the soul is not the doer? I understand soul is transcendental in nature and is not the doer of anything. It's the modes of nature which is making the soul do.
Okay, we'll go to that purport of singing 31. So Yada Bhuta Pratak Bhavam. I'll just share the screen. We'll quickly come to that purport. We'll end with that. Yata Bhuta Pratak Bhavam Ekastam Manupashyati Tata Eva Cha Vistaram Brahma Sampadhyate Tada. Yes, you can read this.
Yeah. When a sensible man ceases to see different identities due to different material bodies, and he sees how beings are expanded everywhere, he attains to the Brahman conception.
Yeah.
When
Yes, we can read the purport.
And one can see that the various bodies or living entities arise due to the different desires of the individual soul and do not actually belong to the soul itself, one actually sees. In the material conception of life, we find someone is demigod and someone a human being, a dog or a cat, etc. This is material vision, not actual vision. This material differentiation is due to a material conception of life. After the destruction of the material body, the spirit soul is one. The spirit soul, due to contact with material nature, gets different types of bodies. When one can see this, he attains spiritual vision. Thus, being freed from differentiation like man, animal, big, low, etc., one becomes purified in this consciousness and able to develop Krishna consciousness in his spiritual identity. How he then sees things will be explained in the next verse.
Yes. Basically, Vidya Vinaya Sampanni, Brahmani Grihastini, Shuni Shaiva Supatecha, Pandit Samadashana. He knows because of the Jnana Chakshu that these are not the bodies, these are souls, but the souls which have misused their free will in the last life. Because of that, they have got somebody's in dog's body, cat's body, hawk's body, Brahmana's body, and particular bodies. So next shloka. Ananditvam nirgunatvat paramatmyayam avyaya sharirastopi kaunteya na karoti na lipyate. Yes.
Those with the vision of eternity can see that the imperishable soul is transcendental, eternal, and beyond the modes of nature, despite contact with the material body. O Arjun, the soul neither does anything nor is entangled. The living entity appears to be born because of the birth of the material body, but actually the living entity is eternal. He is not born, and in spite of his being situated in a material body, is transcendental and eternal. Thus he cannot be destroyed. By nature, he is full of bliss. He does not engage himself in any material activities. Therefore, the activities performed due to his contact with material bodies do not entangle him. But yet, the soul has to go through so much. After death, also they get a body, whatever bodies that called Prabhuji, and Yamraj gives so many punishments.
Yes, so Burjan was telling here, Krishna states clearly that only the body changes. The soul is eternal and changeless. The soul is nevertheless within his body. Does he combine with it? Krishna answers by saying that matter and spirit don't mix. And then Krishna offers a second example to explain that he just made in 33. Finally gives a one verse chapter summary. Those who see with these eyes of knowledge the difference between the body and the knower of the body, and can also understand the process of liberation from bondage and material consciousness, attain to the supreme good. This is like what happens. Yes, Mataji. Please tell. Yeah. Tell. Ask the question.
So my question was, Prabhuji, that soul is transcendental in nature and is not the doer of any material activities, doesn't get entangled. Yet the soul has to bear the consequences of the karma is doing because of the association with material nature. And has to take birth again and again, and has to go to the rigorous cycle till it becomes Krishna conscious and get the mercy of a pure devotee. So if the soul is not the doer, why it has to go through so much?
This answer is this question which you're asking. The same question was asked by Vidura to Maitreya Rishi. And Maitreya answered it.
8:30 కాలే 8:31.
I'm showing. Yes. Yes. And it is. This is the answer Maitreya is giving to Vidura.
A living entity is in distress regarding his self-identity. He has no factual background like a man who dreams that he sees his head cut off. A teacher in school once threatened his pupil that he would cut off the pupil's head and hang it on the wall so that the child could see how his head had been cut off. The child became frightened and stopped his mischief. Similarly, the miseries of the pure soul and the disruption of his self-identification are managed by the external energy of the Lord, which controls those mischievous living entities who want to go against the will of the Lord. Actually, there is no bondage or misery for the living entity, nor does he ever lose his pure knowledge and his pure consciousness. When he thinks a little seriously about his position, he can understand that he is externally subordinate to the mercy of the Supreme, and that his attempt to become one with the Supreme Lord is a false illusion. Life after life, the living entity falsely tries to lord it over material nature and become the lord of the material world, but there is no tangible result. At last, when frustrated, he gives up his material activities and tries to become one with the Lord and speculate with much jugglery of words, but without success. These activities are performed under the dictation of the illusionary energy. Experience is compared to the experience of once having his head cut off in a dream. The man whose head has been cut off also sees that his head has been cut off. If a person's head is severed, he loses his power to see. Therefore, if a man sees that his head has been cut off, it means that he thinks like that in hallucination. Similarly, a living entity is eternally subordinate to the Supreme Lord, and he has this knowledge with him. But artificially, he thinks that he is God himself and thought, although he is God, he has lost his knowledge due to Maya. This conception has no meaning, just as there is no meaning to seeing one's head being cut off. This is the process by which knowledge is covered, and because this artificial rebellious condition of the living entity gives him all troubles, it is to be understood that he should take to this normal life as a devotee of the Lord and be relieved from the misconception of being God. The so-called revelation of thinking oneself God is the last reaction of avidya by which the living entities interact.
So a person who is dreaming, seeing his head cut off. If a student is seeing his head being cut off, how can somebody who's dying is able to see his head cut off? So basically, Prabhupada is Vidura is being answered by Maitreya Rishi. The Jivatma's conditioning coming to the material world is like a dream. Dream is not false. Dream is real, but temporary. And the soul never dies. So although he may perform, because of the conditioning of so many lifetimes, he may perform different activities, he may go to hell, he may suffer, he may do so many things, but he is aloof. See, body is dead. It cannot suffer. Soul is eternal, blissful, Sachitananda. It is not suffering. It is blissful. But Vaikuntha people are blissful, and why the people in material world are in so miserly condition? Whether in human form of life, whether in Patal Loka, Jana Loka, Tapa Loka, why? Krishna is saying 30 to 33. And what is the answer? Soul is eternal, full of bliss. Body is dead.
Then who's suffering?
Huh? Then who's suffering?
And
Yeah.
who's suffering?
Yeah, you have heard, I think, Bhakti Maharaj's class. Maharaj asked it very clearly. They know who suffers? Who suffers? This 13th chapter gives answer to it. What is the answer? Who is suffering? Others also can try. Can tell who is suffering.
Body, Prabhuji.
I've showed you a hint. Prabhupada purport Maitreya Rishi. Her head being cut. How can somebody see if the head is being cut? Yes, Minu Jain Mata's body is suffering. Body is dead.
Prabhuji, when you
Thinking,
see
Prabhuji, matlab what we are seeing.
Okay.
so our mind is the cause of all the sufferings.
Yes, very close. Karuna Adik Mataji, what is the answer? Your doctor, tell me who's suffering. Practical experience of body.
Mind only, bro.
Mind, na? Yeah, same. This whole 13th chapter is speaking about it, and the Vidar Maitreya Rishi answer comes next shloka. Soul misidentification with the body. Soul is misidentifying with the body. This is the cause of suffering. And therefore, the section from 27 to 28 to 35 is called Jnana Chakshu. Why the person is actual seer, like Minwas, what is being told here? Actual seer, because he knows I am the spirit soul, I am eternal, super soul is eternal, he is my source, body is dead. Body is temporary, it is undergoing, therefore mind. Basically, we are identifying with the body because of conditioning. And because of misidentification, we are suffering. The whole process of sadhana bhakti is to rise from that misidentification and come to the level that I am part and parcel of Krishna. This is the answer Maitri Rishi gives to Vidura. In the whole section, you can read. If you have time, if you want to know more about this, please do read this third canto, 7th chapter. Third canto, 7th chapter. Same questions are being asked. Vidura is asking, God is creating, then why God is in touch with Maya? He's creating the whole material world. Mahavishnu is breathing, so he should be subjected to Maya. How is free from Maya? Second question, Jivatma is inside the body along with Paramatma. So why Jivatma is suffering in presence of Paramatma? And Maya is superior or Maya, so super soul is superior? All these questions he asks. Detailedly you can read it peacefully. In just we misidentifying with the body because of a previous conditioning, so many previous past life conditionings. So therefore, what we do in sadhana bhakti is by hearing. We may not do karma, nishkama, we may not be able to do ashtanga, we may not be able to do jnana, but Prabhupada has given, Krishna is telling, by hearing, 26 verses, hearing from a bona fide authority, by association of pure devotees, we can
I
rise.
think to reach that consciousness, you have to be like Prabhuji. To reach that consciousness that you don't identify yourself with body is a very elevated stage, Prabhuji.
Right now.
Because sometimes when I see those videos or hear the news of those hostages by Hamas and all, and those hostages are crying so much, you feel the pain for them. They are in so much pain, and all these concepts, even if they know they cannot, it will
Yeah.
it won't help. It won't give them any solace.
What I'll tell you what we should do.
Yeah.
In that seeing that with those videos, in that time we should read Bhagavadgita and Bhagavatam. That will make us to come to this level very soon. Because Karanam Guna Sangasya, with what modes you associate, you will act with that mode. You are associating passion and ignorance. Because you are associating passion and ignorance by seeing such videos, you are getting stood in bodily consciousness. That is attracting your modes. If you come to read Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, if you read Vaidur Maitreya Samvada, to the degree you get connected to the transcendental vibration, to that degree you will come to the transcendental level.
Okay.
Prabhuji,
Yes.
for someone with this consciousness that I'm not the body, like the seer, when physical pain happens, like a bad death or something, can they dissociate? Do they feel pain or they don't?
Your question is somebody who is at this platform, when they come across
their own physical, suppose somebody stabbing them or something, do they dissociate? Do they feel the pain? Because at this point, like, we are not afraid of death, but the pain is still.
I'll give you an analogy from Sridhar Swami Maharaj's life.
Yes,
He
Prabhu.
was having a stomach, he had got some chronic illness. Because of his stomach was being filled with some water. And it was like somebody, like some woman becomes pregnant in 9 months. How her stomach bloats like this. His condition was like that 1 month before leaving body. So he was in Mayapur, and one doctor came to him, very serious, and some devotees were there, and he took a stethoscope and he was putting on it and trying to feel what is it. Then Sridhar Swami Maharaj replies, "What is it? Is it a male or it's female?" Then somebody asked Maharaj, "How can you do like this?" It's like, he was called as Jolly Maharaj. So he replies, "Pain is inevitable. Pain is there. Pure devotee will feel the pain. A conditioned soul will feel the pain. Suffering is optional." Small child, when some ant bites him, how he behaves? He starts jumping. But when grown up person, when the red ant bites him, he will not do like that. We'll just do like this and feel okay, fine. That is simple. And similarly, as we grow in Krishna consciousness, by disassociating from passion and ignorance, what we understand from this is Bhagavadgita 13.22 is Karanam Gunasangasya Sadasati Janma Yunishu. Bhungte Bhokte Jan Gunan. Because of association of the three modes, the Jivatma gets a body. So we should be very choosy while reading, seeing any material which is associated with modes. If we are reading, reading something ghastly thing, we are supposed to sing to ignorance and passion, basically ignorance. And we'll start doubting our own Krishna conscious practice. And what to speak? The worst thing when you hear some Mayavad Bhasa Sunle Hoy Sarvanas. You'll even stop doubting, is this Krishna conscious? Krishna exists? Are the devotees of Krishna consciousness really thoughtful? Are they philosophical? They don't know Vedanta. So we have to be very, very choosy regarding what we read, what we hear, and with whom we associate with. Apart from ISKCON, apart from Prabhupada, we should not hear anyone. Let them be.
But there are so many good preachers from Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, Prabhuji. We should not listen to them.
No.
Even if they are giving Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's philosophy, and
No.
it is exactly same what Srila Prabhupada says.
You have done a ISKCON disciple course?
Yeah, I have.
What is there in that? Third or fourth unit comes. What Prabhupada is the preeminent Shiksha Guru. Prabhupada told all his disciples. Some Prabhupada was sick. Prabhupada's will. When he came to India, the people wrote a letter to Prabhupada. Prabhupada, in your place, we can get some of your God brothers. Prabhupada replied. He was very upset. And he told, if at all they speak one word here and there, all my good work will be finished. We are Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya in ISKCON. And we are very fortunate. Prabhupada has given us everything in ISKCON.
I have
So we
seen
should-
some of our brahmacharis and all sannyasis meeting those preachers, and they have good relationship with them.
That is up to them. That is up to them. They may go and meet them. They may go and interact
I'm
them.
talking about the Radharaman Lal's temple's Goswamis. They are very pro ISKCON, and they quote Srila Prabhupada in their preaching also.
That's fine. But we have so much in Prabhupada Bhagavadgita and Bhagavatam.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to tell is what Prabhupada told. Why I'm telling? Because Shraddha Shabde Vishwaso Sudrida Nishay Krishna Bhakti Sarva Karma Krit Hoy. And this is very important for us because right now we are in modern day culture. We have so much access to YouTube, internet, and we can just go and hear and anywhere. This hearing is like a chaste wife. She gets married to husband and she has intimate dealing only with her husband and nobody else. Similarly, this hearing process is to be done from one spiritual master, preeminent Shiksha Guru, for the child of Krishna Bhakti to be born. If whatever sampradaya, we have to be very chaste to that sampradaya. Once we start hearing from here, there, everywhere, what happens is that it becomes very difficult when Mayavad will pop up. But Prabhupada has made it very, very crystal clear. And of late, because devotees, because of the internet, YouTube, so many people are leaving up ISKCON and going to other organizations in the name of ISKCON has no spontaneous devotion. Prabhupada has not given us this. ISKCON has having so many issues with so many people. But Prabhupada has given everything in his books. So therefore, I'm just telling about the place where I'm staying, where I visit, what is happening right now in ISKCON. So it's very important for us that we stick to Prabhupada books, we stick to our spiritual master, and we stick to Prabhupada lectures and his commentaries.
Are you saying only to our spiritual master, Prabhuji? We should not
No,
try.
only to spiritual master means what I'm trying is ISKCON spiritual masters.
Okay.
I'm
Um,
not trying to tell is that only your spiritual master, but I'm telling anybody who's in ISKCON you can hear. But best is where is time for us to hear our own spiritual master lectures, and where is time for us to hear our own Prabhupada lecture. Prabhupada has given whole Bhagavadgita, he has given so many lectures. Whole Bhagavatam has only given so many lectures. And if you are aspiring from your spiritual master, he might have given so many lectures from last 30, 40 years. When you aspire from somebody, you have a mood. And anytime you hear, consult your counselor. What should be heard, what should be read, especially on YouTube. It's very, very important.
okay, Prabhuji.
Because I've seen just now when some devotees initiated, taking a post, they're telling we want to. Yes, Madhvi Mataji. Okay, you have some question? Please tell. This is very clear regarding hearing. I
Yes,
can
Prabhuji.
tell you when I came to Krishna consciousness, 2003, 2004, 2003 till 2012. First time I went to Vrindavan Maharaj Yatra in 2012. First time I went to Vrindavan Yatra in 2012 after 8 years of my Krishna consciousness. After getting initiated, because we were studying, we were doing services after working. We had no time to breathe anything. We have to do so much engaging services that time one good thing was we didn't have any internet, nothing. We had to go in there in some cyber cave, go and log in, pay 10, 15 rupees, and that was that time. Phone was a landline, mobile phone came. That was how it was. But right now, because the information, it's like, so we have to be very, very choosy regarding hearing. At least first 20, 25 years of the Krishna consciousness. 2025. That is the formative years, 2025 of the Krishna consciousness. Then after blessing here, taking the blessing of your counselor or your guru, we can hear anything. Yes, Madhvi Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Huh.
The what I
1 minute, Mataji. 1
what
minute.
I'm expecting.
It's already 8:50. Those devotees have
Yeah,
some
that's
work.
it.
You can carry on. Mataji, if she has question, she can ask. Yes. It's officially we ended long back. Please. Very good. Yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji, our life is moving as per our thoughts. Yes, I understood. These thoughts are generated by our past deeds, or what? The question arising each and every second in me, because instantly for each minute, like we are getting around 10 to n number of thoughts based on, depends on our consciousness. So how are the thoughts are generated by or generating or whatever it is by the past deeds or karmas or by any other thing? So
Both.
how can we consider these thoughts really we are getting because of our past karma, these are going to dictate our next karma, and presently whatever we are doing as per our like
Free will.
past deeds are generating more and more unnecessarily we are entangled in this nations. This is what I am getting each and every minute, like it's disturbing me for long back, Prabhuji.
Basically, what I could understand from your question is a person gets so many thoughts every day. Or sometimes some people get a lot of thoughts. Their mind starts fluttering like anything. Here, there, they're not able to focus. This is one part. Second part is right now, what situation we are in. Are this condition is because of a past life? Yes, obviously. Because what we are now is because of past. Not only, it's like 4 things are there: past life, present life, upbringing, association of parents, association of friends, and our free will. The 4 factors are there. Yes. So now what we can do because of this? Solution is mantra. Mind can be subdued by mantra. The chanting of the Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. At least during that chanting, we should try our best to fix our mind on that thought, on that mantra. What to do that? Just be in the present. Don't think of anything. Don't think of future. Don't lament about past. It becomes difficult chant for fun 2, 3, 4 years, keeping a mantra in front of you. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Try to sit there and try to chant that mantra. After doing 1, 2, 3 years, slowly, to the degree you are sincere, to the degree you are praying to the Lord, please give me strength. Krishna gives the mercy, taste for the holy name. It will take 1 year, 2 year, 5 year, 10 year, 15 year. This journey goes on. It's not so easy. Therefore, I'm doing first for 15 to 25 years is formative years in Krishna consciousness. And if you continue chanting holy name, despite how much restless our mind might be, two things you should do. If our mind is restless, already so much has gone in passion. Don't add any passion by seeing unnecessarily any of the videos which has no connection to Krishna. That is one thing. Or so much dirt is there, don't add passion, ignorance more. Literatures, association, eating things, that can be decided. Only eating prasad, only association. Association means opening our heart. You can go for the official things, family, other things, and all those things, but we are not opening the heart. Like that monkey came in with crocodile, but he told, I have kept my heart in the tree. So you don't open up for all those things. Basically, you should have a very, very fixed boundary in terms of dealing with people.
Yeah, and how do I know that in the present life it is going in a right way as per my past karma? Am I in the right path?
Yes.
Like,
Yeah. Apart from, see, past karma is done. That is gone now. That has no influence on it. Right now, your life is in your hand. To the degree you are in association of devotees, you have some devotee to guide you personally in your life, you are on the right track. You are association
so
of devotees. Yes.
These thoughts are generated by the Lord or our own. That's what I need to be clear, Prabhuji. Whatever the thoughts they are generating, that is the part and parcel of the Lord, or we are getting. It is getting generated by us.
Yes.
That is confusion for me.
Thoughts are not being generated by the Lord directly. The Lord has created the material world. Prakriti is generating a thought. The mind, the intelligence, the senses, the material body, the subtle body generating the thoughts. And we are just processing it right now.
So no need to feel bad about anything, why we are getting these kind of thoughts or why we are not able to do that like that, because this is the part and parcel of everything related to that nature, Prakriti only, right?
Because see, one thing is there, we had a previous life body. In that life, whatever we have done, those thoughts are coming. Now we have got a body in such a way, the subtle mind has become very, very passionate. That is coming. Now I don't have to worry about it. What I can worry about right now is, let me chant Hare Krishna, read Prabhupada books, and pray to Krishna. I don't know what I've done, but Krishna, I know. I want to serve you, I want to love you. Please give me your mercy. Krishna is much more eager than we are. Krishna wants us to come back to God. Krishna loves us more than anything. Any activity in Krishna consciousness, Krishna is like happy. You don't have to think that I'm in wrong path. Till the time you're chanting Hare Krishna, you're in association of devotees, you're in right guidance, you're on right path. Hare Krishna. Hare Bol. Srila Prabhupada ki, उपस्थित गौर भक्त वृंद की जय. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji.